Harrison, hello. It's great to finally meet you. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Hi there, Juanita.
Yes. Now, I've heard about you. No entourage? No PA?
No.
Okay,
Try
all
not
right.
to if I can avoid it.
Flying solo?
Yes, that's me.
Okay, and you know, you'd think I'll... You're going to think I'm just saying this, but really, you look so much younger in person.
Oh, well, I keep a portrait in the attic.
Ah, yes, intriguing. Okay, come around. This is your seat over here.
Right, okay.
And did you get my questions on email okay?
Yes, I did, and I had a quick look.
All right, great. All right, well, look, we're pretty much ready to go, I think.
Okay.
So, are we? Okay, good. So is there anything else you need?
No, I'm fine.
There's water by your chair there.
Great.
Okay.
So let's get into it.
Yes. Ready? Yeah, you're cool. Thank you. Okay. So, Harrison Wild, thank you
Yes.
for being with us. I would like to start by asking about a time before all the money. Back when you were a boy, what did the young Harrison want to be and do?
Well, one of the things I remember most about being a young boy was an interest in archaeology. My father had a subscription to an archaeological journal, and when he had finished with them, I would take them and keep them in a stack under my bed.
Really? Okay.
I was really taken with the idea that we could look back through time. I thought that was fascinating. In 1984, I was 13 at the time, Turkana Boy was found in Kenya. If you don't know, it was the skeleton of a boy who died 1.5 million years ago when he'd been about 13. And it really affected me. I think I began to feel the first real sense of sanctity to existence. Turkana Boy then began to mean two things that have really stayed with me. Firstly, the fragility of our own existence. Secondly, the incredible sense of progress made between his lifetime and mine. A sense of massiveness to the world and our story in it. I mean, we're so bogged down with daily life, we kind of watch the greater progress of society in decades as we go through our life. The story really takes place on the borders of what we can imagine. Centuries after centuries, millennia.
Now that you're an adult,
Yes.
does it strike you that those are really unusually deeply philosophical thoughts for a 13-year-old boy?
Well, I was homeschooled for a long time. Actually, until I went to university. My tutor was probably quite eccentric. We used to have a lesson specifically for philosophy. And as an adult, I've been fascinated with the Eastern philosophies.
And how does that affect your approach to business?
It's given me a strong sense of perspective between short and long-term money. Also an impetus to respect the bigger picture, such as the environmental systems, which have allowed the hominid family, which unites you, me, and Turkana Boy, to evolve into modern humans. Unfortunately, we've evolved into an enormous population, destroying those very systems.
And you're involved, of course, in trying to mitigate and provide alternatives to that destruction.
Yes, I do like to think of it like that. I'm interested in changing to the provision and consumption of clean energies. Like many of us, I want to wipe out our horrendous addiction to oil and coal that is so clearly ruining a balance that has been achieved over a pretty much inconceivable period of time. Yes.
And how's that going?
Well, there's good news and there's bad news. The bad news is, as a global population, we're facing a very uncertain future because of many factors. A massive global population, unsustainable consumption, a massive appetite for carbon, and all of this in an incredibly short space of time. For instance, the world's population has grown from 1.6 billion in 1910 to 6.9 billion in 2009. Yes, we've had an extraordinary surge in what we call progress and modernity, but at the most incredible physical cost, which I think we're at the very beginning of witnessing now. These factors and the great complex matrix that they create really do form a grim, foreboding sense of the future.
Yeah.
Something that's in many people's minds when they think of climate change, for instance. So that's the bad news.
Right.
Or, as James Lovelock described it, it's like being in a little tin boat on the edge of Niagara Falls with a motor just strong enough to stop you from going over the edge, but you're not sure when the petrol's going to run out.
Yes.
The good news
There is good news?
Yes,
Okay.
in an overall sense, is that there's an emerging will and industry in green technologies and essential lifestyle. Now, if this grows fast enough and is given the proper incentives, will stabilize us, though not completely save us from the very worst of some awful predictions.
Well, Copenhagen's coming up soon. Do you think we'll see any good news emerge from there?
I'm pretty pessimistic about that. Well, it's late October now, and De Boer is already warning of treaty failure. Of course he is, because any treaty requires a level of commitment and groundwork that no one's made yet. But look, I think it would be a start.
Now, let's talk specifically about your businesses. I'm interested in hearing about how rapidly you became successful.
Well, the last 2 or 3 years have really put me in the financial position I am in today. In 2008, my investment in photovoltaics took off in a big way. In fact, there's been many billionaires made in California out of the boom in solar energy investment. Hunter Lovins described it. She talked about the new markets in clean tech. I remember reading her back then. She said, "Those that recognize this opportunity will be the first to the future and the billionaires of tomorrow." Well, she was right.
Well, there's a theory out there describing something called sudden wealth syndrome, where people suffer adverse effects from becoming very wealthy very quickly. Now, see, to the average ear, that sounds...
Crazy.
Yes. But is that something have you had negative feelings about becoming very wealthy?
Look, I've heard of that. I mean, as it sounds, it's specifically related to people who become very wealthy indeed, but can't necessarily justify it to themselves in terms of what they've done. The dot-com entrepreneurs, for example. That didn't really happen in my case. I didn't become stratospherically... Look, can we stop the interview while I take this?
Yes, that's fine.
Great. Thank you. Hi, Paul. Yep, that's great. Yes, fine, go ahead. Incredible. Do you trust him? No, not back before Tuesday. A nomenclature. Look, start with Himalaya. Yes. And fill in the rest. Okay, all right. Bye. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
So, where were we?
Okay, I actually think I can use your last answer, so it's fine. We'll
Right.
just keep moving on, okay? All right. Okay, so what does it mean to you to be in such a powerful position financially, especially given your outlook on world events?
Well, it's an excellent place to be. No single person needs this amount of wealth. So quite apart from being personally fortunate, it means that one can get on with important things. And to some extent, that's why I was interested in becoming wealthy, because of the possibilities. Now I'm in a position to take risks. In my position, being interested in the world's bigger problems, they potentially become less daunting and become opportunities. I think that investment in social entrepreneurship is definitely something that I'm keen to jump on board with. It will be the billionaires who save the world from this current mess. Not the bureaucrats, not the activists. It's those with the acumen and the ability to come at these monumental issues with agility and tenacity.
Okay, there's a lot in what you've just said. Is it then a given that your mind turns to philanthropic efforts, or at least things where you're not making a huge profit?
Yes, after a certain point, it becomes a challenge. Obviously, really, as wealth for wealth's sake is no goal at all. It's poisonous after a point. But that's balanced with the need to sustain whatever it is you build. Sustainability is the trick.
So what's your hope for your legacy?
I really want to have helped solve some important problems. Global warming and the transition to clean, sustainable energies are the great challenges of our time. But our governments and corporate systems aren't showing the will to move in quickly enough. So that is an area that I want to have had an impact. And I think the solutions come in many forms, from the will and determination of normal people, from innovative individuals, from governments, obviously, and then from billionaires, who are able to spend significant amounts of money. There is so much green tech innovation happening in the world, so much that it's really the people with private wealth that have to harness that talent and implement it, make it real. We can't afford to wait for government policy. I mean, look at Gates and Buffett and Brin and Page.
The Google guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Many billionaires are in this mindset. Billionaires can and will save the world.
Well, on a more urbane level, what is an average day like in the life of Harrison Wild?
Well, life is busy. My days are long. But like many people now, I'm someone who's very mobile. I can work from almost anywhere. So that helps. I'm not stuck at my desk 14 hours a day. Also, even though I do work long hours, I break up my day with pockets of time. It sounds cliche, but I get up at 5 or 5:30, usually taking a run or a swim, some Pilates or yoga. The early morning is an unusual time. I find that it's really important for me now. I'm addicted to it. It's very meditative, and I find it's the most timeless part of the day. There's lots of meetings, of course, lots of emails, lots to keep up with, not just in terms of staying across from projects and their progress, but also keeping across from technological developments and trends. At the other end of the day, I do like to relax, see friends, have a good time.
You do relax?
I do.
Okay, and do you sleep?
I'm sure that I did. I'm not sure when that was, but I of course, yes.
Yeah. Harrison Wild, thank you very much.
Thank you, Winita. I enjoyed that.
Oh, good. Well, thank you. Are we right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you. It's great. It's great to meet you, as I said, and I felt very let in. So thank you for that.
Oh, good.
It's exciting to meet someone in your position and find that they're human and humane. Yes. We've had this pet image while we've been making the series, haven't we? Where we think of billionaires as being like the modern equivalent of living gods. You know, it's the Greeks personified great power, and so billionaires are like these giants amongst us. Do you know what I mean?
Titans?
Yes. Sorry, it's silly. No, but it's something like where it's this huge amount of money, and yet it's just a tiny drop in the ocean. Because Bill Gates talks about how the $4 billion that he gives away every year is only equivalent to about a quarter of spending on education in New York alone. So.
Well, it's not just how much money, it's what you do with it. That's the...
Yes, indeed, of course. Now, are you interested in getting a copy of the episode?
Actually, that might be good.
Yes.
I'll give you my private email if you like.
Okay, yep, that would be great.
Please don't pass it on.
Of course not.
But if you want to send me your stuff, you can do so.
Thank you.
And that'll be brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay?
All right. Come on, I'll show you out.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, my phone.
Terrific.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. It wasn't too painful, was it?
No,
great.
at all. It was worth the wait.
Yes. And are you in Sydney for long?
Yes, a couple of days, and then I'm on to South Africa. There's